Yeah,
Okay.
but that is not the case. Like, it's very bad about a lot of things which is going on, that you find cheap quality materials in the day-to-day lives. Like, if you check out, not sponsored, biscuit or
Oh, that's
anything.
so good.
Yeah, exactly. You find it good over here. Yesterday, I saw an influencer making a video about it, that okay, that was this biscoff which you get in India and this biscoff which you get in Belgium is like very different, and I felt very bad
Hmm.
about it, man. There is such a kind of big disrespect that, like,
Hmm.
bad or cheap quality material you're giving and providing in the Indian market, but whereas if you go to West, it's
Hmm.
way different.
So what? Anyway.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a new thing for me.
Yeah, kangaroo meat is kind of almost the same as like chicken. And they have farms where they grow kangaroos. It's weird. Or like not raise. I don't know what the right term is when you
Okay.
grow an animal to butcher it. But
I mean,
farming, I guess.
it
Sometimes
might be normal for them, but for it would be unusual for us. Yeah.
is upsold through marketing and hospitality. So, for example, it's like, ooh, try our new ... Like, try this new meal and make it new and novel and make it more luxurious. Like, try our finest. You know, for example, even like, I know this isn't hospitality.
Handpicked. Britain's obsession with handpicked. It's like a whole different.
Yeah.
I can write a stand up on that. I'm not even kidding.
It has to be handpicked. The special like handpicked.
So as you talked about, all of the British food and everything, right? How does hospitality in UK work? Tell me from a local point of view. When you and me were talking, and you were like, "Oh no, depends where you go."
Yeah.
So how would you describe firstly hospitality in UK? Is it structured or relaxed? Carry on, and then we'll get into it.
Sure. I think it, as I said, it definitely depends where you go. I think, you know, there's also very different types of cafes. For example, there's like a local cafe, but there's also a concept of a greasy spoon, which I've only heard of a couple of years ago. Have you heard about that? It's kind of like more so like a full English breakfast, kind of like the eggs, the bacon, like the baked beans, like more of that kind of like, when I say like the fast food, but like a kind of like, maybe, I don't even know, but that's what I think about when I think about that kind of cafe with like the eggs, the bacon, the sausages. But if you want to go somewhere more like a brunch place, more like an avocado on toast, those are going to be two different places, you know. And I think now I've moved to London, I'm seeing like it has both. It definitely has both. I think in the particular area I'm in, there's more like greasy spoons, but then I think if you go like just a few like miles in another direction, say for example like Shoreditch, like you're going to have a lot more like fancy
Shoreditch is one of the popular areas over here.
Yes.
Just like Dadar in Mumbai.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like trendy, it's arty, wealthier,
or maybe Kolaba, I'm wrong.
Yeah. Well, I say wealthy. It's become gentrified, and so obviously with gentrification comes wealth and all that kind of stuff, and then like the fancier stuff comes in, and then also means locals can't buy it, which is great.
Interesting. So is the service more on the efficient side or warm?
I really think it depends where you go. Like, for example, I went out for dinner with my mum and we went to somewhere in Soho, which is like a nice area, really quite like, it feels very wealthy in like central London. And we went to a tapas place and we were actually looking for food at like 9 o'clock, which for the UK, like a UK dinner time is very late. I know that's not the same in India. I know
dinner time is 9.
No. I know in India it's more like 10, 11?
Anywhere
right?
between 8 to 10.
Okay, 8 to 10. Okay.
And over here it's?
Some people have it as early as 6 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say like on average I probably like eat about 7:30. Like I would say between like 6 and 8 is normal. So it's like just shift 2 hours back. Yeah. But so for example, we were looking for food at 9. It's like, ooh, like are we going to find somewhere to eat? But I think going out for dinner you can find it later. But we went into this, like, as I said, like a tapas place, and it was really warm. Everyone was lovely. Again, tapas is Spanish, so that could have an influence. And yeah, everyone's just really friendly, and they're always kind of checking in on you. And I think, they were very kind of catering to our needs. I don't think we had particularly complicated needs, but you know, they were really friendly, and it was also very quick service. So I guess it depends how you view efficiency. Like, because efficiency could be like cold, but if you're also just doing it like you're getting the food out and it's good quality and it's hot and it's, you know, or the temperature should be. Obviously you don't want like some foods to be hot and, you know, vice versa. But yeah, and then I think again, because perhaps British cuisine isn't really British, and a lot of the food is, for example, Spanish, Italian, Japanese, like all the different restaurants you go to, and so I guess the hospitality within each of those will vary depending on the culture and also the staff they employ. And yeah, I don't necessarily think there's like a baseline level of culture or efficiency, because I think at some point you mentioned in India it's kind of like it is just kind of run in more of a certain way, but tell me, like, correct me.
No, I'll get to that, but
Yeah,
I want
fine,
you.
fine.
I am waiting for you to finish, and then
okay.
we'll put up for
Sure,
this
sure.
point.
Yeah, I think that's all I have on that. Yeah.
So what I have seen, this is a very maybe an insight for you.
Yeah.
What has happened is like UK has a lot of like 20% of mom and pop shops. Mom and pops, as in a husband and wife or a couple running those particular enterprise, whatever it might be. It may be a bar to cafe. Very interesting. And on the other hand, the 80% are chains.
In the UK.
Chains, yeah, chains. And I'm talking about, you know, these big chains. I forgot the name. It was this Italian chain, or then there is something like Marriott. You know, but Marriott is like a hotel.
Yeah.
But there are different kind of chains as well. We were talking about this pizza thing, dude. Like something, I forgot the name of it.
Maybe like Pret a Manger or like Pizza Express or
Pizza Express.
Sort of
yeah, something. Yeah. So there are a lot of chains.
Yeah.
Like how McDonald's
like
is, how Burger King is.
Yeah,
so the UK hospitality landscape, I have repeated this a lot of times
mostly
now.
chains, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mostly, yeah.
And that's why the standards remain same. And then what I have seen, my observation, and in all of this there are certain standards which are same. Then it depends where you go. If you're going to Wetherspoons, what I have heard from my assistant manager is that it's the crowd is very rough, considering the economic behavior and economic prices and everything. You are going to attract a certain kind of people. It can be anything, but still I would say British people are very civic in those sense. Okay, like in terms of the rough crowd, what he says is a rough crowd. For me it's like, okay, I can handle this is not a big deal. And then there are in between restaurants like fine enough, and then there is fine dine restaurants.
I like that. Fine enough and fine dine. I like that.
Fine enough as in, you know,
in the middle.
They are still, they're still fine, that's still good. But then fine dine is like, you know, very elegant, posh, sophisticated. This is where Indians had to give. Exactly.
Yeah.
So because you're not at all familiar, even I'm not familiar with the cutlery and stuff, right? I when we sit and have food in an European, where I still eat with my hands, because I just don't know how to. I don't want to get into that yet. My future is uncertain in this country, so. So I don't want to too much get into that.
Sure.
So because of that, there is a difference, and the fine dine and everything is. This is how the landscape, what I see in my terms. What are your thoughts on that?
Could you expand on what you mean a little bit?
Like so the chain and everything, the chain and mom and pop shops, and then there are usual cafes where the spoons is another chain, which is like the most affordable, and you know, you get a lot of nicely priced alcohol and everything over there, whatever you want to say, along with food. And there is fine enough restaurants, which I said, and then there is fine dining.
Oh, so like give examples of those?
No. Do you have anything to add on, or what are your counter thoughts on that?
I think you pretty much covered it. Like, I think I kind of just agree with you. I don't really have any counter thoughts on that one. Yeah.
So getting to the just next point, which is just related to it. India, UK, Australia. Like we have 3 hospitalities to look at from a lens. True. Lettie has worked in Australia, as I mentioned before. You want to talk about your experience first, then talk about the UK experience, and then I'll show you how bad Indian hospitality experience is in certain aspects, and how good it is in certain aspects, and then It
Okay.
will be a good, insightful conversation. Yeah,
Sure, sure,
please.
sure. Yeah.
So, how did you get into hospitality in Australia? Why did you go to Australia and
It's
working
a
on a
great
bagel shop?
point.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That tell me.
Yeah, of course.
Hmm.
So in Australia, I went there post graduation, just wanted to have a bit of exploration, wanted to see the
Mhm.
world a little bit. Arguably, Australia is not the whole world, but it's really quite far away from the UK. And I was like, ooh, where do I want to go? What do I want to see?
Mhm.
I actually kind of followed in my mother's footsteps in that way. She did a similar kind of trip. But actually, our trips ended up being very different. I just wanted to kind of to travel to see the different experiences, to have that experience of, I guess, being a little bit of like motion and see what traveling's like. I hadn't done like a long stint of travelling,
What's the longest you have traveled until now?
uh, not including Australia. Um, I was working in the US in a summer camp for 2 months, and then I also did a bit of traveling after that. So I would say that was probably about 2.5 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm. No,
Yeah,
I mean
and
a stint of travel. So the largest flight the longest flight I have taken is
flights.
12 hours,
Yeah,
12,
okay.
13 hours.
So the flight to Australia that takes about, I want to say, 23 hours, basically a whole day. By the time you've flown, done a layover, and then
Okay,
got
like
there, and
considering
then
the
minus
layover.
the
Hmm.
but you normally get there like 2 days later than you started off, which is such a weird. It's like, oh, I set off on the 21st and I got there on the 23rd. It's such a weird feeling.
Time travel.
It's like you've lost. Yeah, it feels like time travel. So strange.
So how was it working in Australia as an experience? How does the
Yeah,
hospitality over there work?
yeah, I'd say hospitality, or hospo, like hospo as they call it, because they call everything O's, and like I think they call like an alcohol shop, like in America how it's separated out, like the liquor store. They also have that, and they call them bottle-O's, because I think they don't sell alcohol in supermarkets, which I found really interesting, because in the UK you just sell, like, I mean, yes, you have like a special alcohol section, but it's all in one section. Yes, you might have a newsagents or like an off license, or like people call it an offie, like off license.
What's off license thing? Like quickly, if you wanna tell it in one sentence.
I wish I knew what it actually meant to be off license, but I think it means that it's typically the little shops that sell, like, milk, chocolate bars, and alcohol, that, and maybe old fashioned, they used to sell newspapers,
Okay.
and that's why they're called a newsagent. But it's there's also a special word for it in France, but I can't remember what it is, unfortunately. But that, I think it means they can sell alcohol outside of, I guess maybe.
Oh, outside just for sale, possibly. You
I
can't.
think
They
so.
cannot have, like, to serve alcohol in a place. You need to
Yeah.
have a license.
Yes, and so I think it allowed them to sell alcohol past like the pubs being open. I think
Okay.
maybe really, I haven't ever learnt
Maybe.
about it, but I would
Maybe,
assume or infer that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's where you can buy alcohol. But so I think in Australia I found, like, anyway, they call them bottle-O's. Anyway, to go back to hospitality, it's definitely much more of like a bigger culture. People definitely, and I know we briefly discussed this, but I think sometimes hospitality can be looked down on, in terms of like a long-term career choice in some ways, partly because often it's part-time and maybe you don't make as much money, or like it can be hard as the world's getting more expensive and inflation, it can be hard to sustain yourself and live in like good quality accommodation, to have money to have like fun with, to be able to go out and do things. Otherwise, you can live quite a limited life if you don't have enough money to do things. Or if you're very good with your
Marriott
money.
possibly might have done a great job over here, not sponsored by Marriott, but something which is admirable is admirable. Where if you work in a Marriott chain or Marriott associated, whatever it might be, the employee benefits are chef's kiss, man. Like,
Okay.
on another level, where if you are employed with Marriott, and if you have a holiday, and if you want to go somewhere and stay, if you choose a Marriott hotel, and it's 50% off, and get you specific, they get perks, the benefits, staying in certain kind of room, and you get a lot of off, or like other kind of benefits which a specific hotel can provide you. Beautiful, very nice. So
Yeah.
maybe this is one good point where being also in hospitality can benefit you.
Yes.
But right now, when you and I are talking at this point,
Yeah.
what you say has more weight at the moment than how hospitality is looked down upon.
Yeah. And I think it can obviously depend, because Marriott, in my opinion, is like a very like 5-star hotel. No, I don't. Yeah.
I mean, yes, I'm agreeing. Sorry. Yeah.
And so so I think obviously if you're not working somewhere like the Marriott, it might not support you in the same way. You might not get the same benefits.
Exactly.
If you're just working in a local cafe, they're not going to be able to say, oh, you get this much off. I think sometimes they might give you free food, but it's not. You don't get the same benefit I think, as you would in a big chain or big company. Absolutely. So I think in Australia, I think also because it's quite common for people to travel there, it's very popular traveling tourist destination in that way. I think hospitality is it's very everyone's oh, I'm just going to go to Australia and get a job in hospitality. Whereas if you come to the UK, I mean, number one, the UK is far smaller, and there's less of a traveling culture, or you can't really we don't have the infrastructure so you can travel around the coast. You could just about, but it's not a commonly done thing as far as I'm aware. As a local, having lived here, you don't tend to see that many people doing a backpacking trip around the UK as you would in the same way in in Europe. I don't know if you know, but there's something called interrailing, which is when you go through different countries on the trains. And that's
quite interesting for me to see. I wish we could have that in our region more often, considering the shitty conflicts which are going on. But it's very, very interesting for me. You can be going from Denmark or whatever, crossing a different country.
Very cool. But as you say, it's a shame that they don't have it where you are, or kind of where you're from. And I think so in the UK it's not very common, but around Australia, and I think a lot of people again, I'm very lucky in the fact that I have a British passport, and they recently, I think within the last 2 years, I want to say now, they removed the need to do farm work if you have a British passport. I'm assuming something to do with Commonwealth and colonial relations some way. But I think, but then everyone else has to do, I can't remember the specific term, but I think it's about 6 months of farm work if you want to travel to Australia, and then you could work in hospitality, for example. I know some people, though, there are get out clauses. I think if you're working in the North Queensland, or right at the top, kind of near Cairns, I think you are able to do hospitality and it counts. You don't have to do the farm work. I think maybe because there's just less farms there. I don't know, because I didn't do it myself, but I've heard that. Same goes in Tasmania, where I was working. Some people, there were certain little spaces where you could still work in hospitality and it counted towards your, I want to say it was about 3 months of farm work, I think, but it could be longer. And then every time you renew your visa, so I think you have up to 3 years as a non-citizen, if you're coming from outside, basically. But then every time to renew it, I think you then had to redo the farm work, potentially. I don't know the ins and outs of it because I didn't have the visa myself. I think I had when I was in the US, I had a J1 visa to work, and I've forgotten what it is. There's 2 main types of work visa that you can get in Australia, and I definitely recommend looking into it if you're interested.
It can be a different experience to go in another country and experience and work in the hospitality. Very great international exposure, to be really honest. And so for me, I was working in Tasmania, and I was working in a harbour restaurant. Tasmania is a place in Australia. Please
yes,
continue.
Exactly. It's so if you're looking at a map, it's the island that sits below Melbourne. It's still a state, it counts as one of the states of Australia, in the same way that New South Wales, which includes or is very close to Sydney, as far as I'm aware. And so I was working in Tasmania, and as they were serving things like lobster. They also called it, I think some of the people called it crayfish. So again, those little cultural nuances. But they would also serve kingfish, and it was very, very high quality fish. And I honestly was able to get a job there because I met someone in a hostel, and I ended up making friends with her, and she was leaving because her visa was expiring, and I was hired like this. And I think I was very lucky because I had no restaurant experience. I'd worked in a cafe, and I really wonder whether it would have been the same if I looked different, if I had different background, if I spoke differently. I think it could have been quite different. I also noticed that the particular chain I was working in had quite a high turnover, I think, in terms of staff. But
you said it was a bagel shop, right? Sorry to cut you.
A bigger shop.
It was a bagel shop, right?
Oh, sorry. No, the bagel shop was in the UK. Okay, so this is the fine dining fish restaurant.
Oh, in Australia.
In Australia, yes. So that was my experience in Australia. So I went from having only bagel shopping experience
to
fine dining, and they had hot lemons and towels. Sorry, hot towels and lemons, not hot lemons. And they'd have lobster, and you had a special lobster cracker. You'd have like there was also lobster fork. You know how you talk about the different type of cutlery. There was like you had to lay the table with.
Oh yeah,
it's not just a fork and a knife.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
six on each side, and then a special dessert spoon.
Yeah, I mean it depends, like how, like the, of course, standard etiquettes have their own set, and then it depends on if the manager or anyone has to, like, to offer any opinion or do something around those lines, and what is the cuisine or like course gonna be.
Yes.
If it's gonna be with chopsticks or like I don't know, I have less experience, but it can be varied as well. But interesting. Carry on.
And so again, having gone from no restaurant experience to really high, like fine dining, like 5-star pretty much
in Australia
was really quite a shift. I think I'm
crazy, man.
Like, very crazy. And yeah, I had a great time, and I met some great friends, which was really lovely.
For sure, you would have learned a lot.
Yes, and like arguably Australia and the UK are quite similar culturally, but there was still a decent amount of nuance, even down to like the type of milk. They called it a different type of milk, and I was like, what do you mean I can't make you this coffee because I don't know what kind of milk you want? They're like, oh, can I have like yeah, they basically had a different name. I don't know if you're familiar with like green and blue milk, but it's basically one has a higher yeah.
Okay.
So in the UK, we have like a color-coded milk system, and so it's like there's blue milk, there's green milk, and there's red milk. And so blue has the highest fat percentage. It's the most real milk possible. And then as part of the procedure, you can filter out some of the fat. And so that goes to green milk, so that's half fat. And we call it semi-skimmed. And then you also have red milk, which is like the thinnest, like barely any fat, but it still comes from a cow. Yeah, and so...
Comes from the cow, you say?
Yeah, there's all these different types of milk. So yeah, the blue, the green, the red. Okay. And they basically just have different fat percentages. But so I was learning, because they just called it a totally different thing. I was like, what is this? What is Australia? And I was learning what different...
that might be a thing for you. I came over here, soy milk, oat milk, almond milk, coconut milk is fine.
Yeah, and a different kind of coconut milk to the ones in the cans.
Oat milk, semi-skimmed milk.
What is this milk?
Yeah. And I am like, not that I didn't know about it, but the demand over here is overwhelming. And not that it's like, I don't know what to say, if it's a bad thing, good thing, or like whatever you want to say. If this happens in India, everyone is gonna go like, are you crazy or something? North of India, or like north of India is more immune to milk, but south of India is not, because of a lot of the cultural side of it and the breeding and everything. But over here, some people sometimes have their preferences that I want oat milk. One, people have allergies. Another thing. And it feels very, very, very different that milk. What is the soya, oat, and whatever? No disrespect to their preference, but it feels like, okay, cool, have it, enjoy,
have whatever milk you want.
Yeah. And then I eventually got into the habit of asking, can I have latte? And then latte is another headache, major headache. Over here, latte is like a kind of coffee. You go to Italy, it's milk.
It's milk on its own. Have you been to Italy?
No, not yet.
But no, you're right.
I know, because I have we are United Nations where I work. From me being to India, to my supervisor being Polish and my manager being French, we have every nationality possible. So that's the case, and it was quite interesting to know all of this. It's way, way, way different, because on the other hand, the West in general, I count Australia as West considering all the culture and everything, is more informed, is more very well aware of their diet and stuff.
Australia? Or just Western,
the West in general. But that is not the case. Like, it's very bad about a lot of things which is going on, that you find cheap quality materials in the day-to-day lives. Like, if you check out, not sponsored, biscuit or anything.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, exactly. You find it good over here. Yesterday I saw an influencer making a video about it, that that was this biscoff which you get in India and this biscoff which you get in Belgium is like very different, and I felt very bad about it, man. There is such a kind of big disrespect that, like, bad or cheap quality material you're giving and providing in the Indian market. But whereas if you go to West, it's way different.
So what's the difference in the ingredients?
The materials which are used, raw materials, are very bad, of low quality, and won't entirely, again, I'm a balanced person in that case, won't entirely blame them. There are a lot of hurdles in the system. There are a lot of issues you have to manage with cost cutting and everything. But this is still a disrespect where you're not managing with integrity or handling your business. It only just hampers your brand integrity and vision. Whatever. So that's the difference. So when I come and tell you about, when you share all of this experience, dignity of labor in India is a very big problem. The way people feel entitled and they treat and everything is still very bad. India as a country, I feel, in my opinion, has to learn a lot about treating how their working class, regardless. Doesn't matter how cheap you pay. It's, as we over here say, that it's a person behind working, and it's a good thing. It's the same person like you behind working in any other random job. Like, a lot of people now are learning this as we go, but there are a lot of entitled people who are spoiled brats or anything around those lines, would just come here. I challenge these people to do it over here. If they do it over here, you will be kicked off of the restaurant.
Like, excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. And now there are again two sides to it. Idealistically, it should be done, dignity of labor and everything, but on the other side, there, the labor which is operating, they don't know. For them, it's normal.
In India,
it's there is a certain section working. For them, it's considered normal. For them, it's like, this is how
people that badly.
It's like, this is how our life is. This is how we are going to be treated. That's the mindset, and that's a sad part. A sad part in Indian hospitality, I feel, is like, you need to have a dignity of labor, and that's why the cream layer, or the best chefs, or the best waiters, or the best sommeliers, or anything what you want to say, are going out.
They're going out, like leaving India because they're not being treated well.
Exactly. Exactly. I was talking to a chef the other day. Very nice, very great knowledge of international cuisine. He was telling me that I can't go back to India where being treated like this as a chef who knows you are a chef, you have an own set of expertise. I'm not gonna come and tell you, oh, the general manager or someone wants like this, so make it like that, leave all your other work. Man,
no.
My mindset when I came to Europe completely changed when it came to hospitality.
Interesting.
And I'm gonna make a whole separate video about this, about all of this, and why I don't understand. This is what I'm calling out, and I'm being very critical and sharp, that general manager, restaurant manager are like treated like, special people in the restaurants in India. That's not the case over here. My general manager is like, comes to the chef and, can I please have XYZ? And not that the chef says no, but the way you ask and share the respect is like very different. The chef tells me, and this is a very important thing, that why do I need to go and bow my head in front of the general manager? Very valid point.
Yeah. So you're saying that's what it's like? That's
what it's like. Yeah, exactly. The shittiest side of Indian hospitality is what I feel is like some of the bad sides, and that's why it's a vicious circle right now which is going on. There are a lot of points to address on each of the sides, where why this happens, and there is a reason it happens, and how this needs to be changed. One side. And do you know a fun fact? There is a 6 days work week still in hospitality, working 12 hours a day.
That's a lot. Because then you have no break, and then basically by the time you are that's resting, the thing. That you can't have fun with your friends. You just need to.
You have no life,
and also you just need to like wash your clothes. You need to like do all that kind of stuff. There's no time for living and doing even the boring bits, the chores.
And then you attract that kind of a labor, right? And now what has happened is the attrition rate has spiked up to such a level, because there are a lot of opportunities now. India is developing. So a lot of factors to look into. A whole separate video is coming on this one, but I feel bad about this, considering and looking at this. The whole reason now I see there is an economic behavior, just because labor, it changes the whole economy. Just because the labor over here is expensive, someone like can actually afford to go to a fine dining restaurant. I know I would be spending £150, but I can still go. I can still go. you're earning 15,000 rupees, 150 pounds to be precise, to give you a conversion rate per
Yeah.
month.
So in India, you only earn
15,000 is
150.
like the starting salary of
Okay.
anyone. This is I'm too much talking about. People
Yeah.
exploit other people, like
Okay.
restaurant owners exploit people. 6,000, 7,000, which is like 60, 70 pounds per month. I'm not counting purchasing parity.
insane.
Yeah, purchasing parity or like how things are cheaper in India and everything, but that's still piece of shit.
It's nothing, because I'm trying to think of like the I'd say the baseline minimum wage in London, I think, sits around
Now again,
1,500.
exactly, this is where
Yeah.
over here the reason where
Yeah.
UK or a lot of Western countries are developed because they value its people. There are a lot of rules and regulations in place to protect the labor, the minimum salary and everything. There is nothing like that in India. There is no association considering hospitality in India until yet. How are you gonna fix this all?
Me?
No, I mean,
I was gonna
in
say,
general.
okay, time to go into action. Let's
Yeah.
do.
So that's the
Yeah.
that's
No, but I
how
hear you.
bad it is in comparison to,
Mm.
and I feel this is like one needs to address this.
Yeah.
That's why I talked about this
course,
at least,
yeah.
like, and that's the case. But
Yeah.
there are good sides as well. Indian hospitality in general, that's the bad side, or like the people who are working. But outside, if you see, Indian hospitality is admired a lot for what it is. You saw difference, how Indian hospitality looks like in
Yes.
general, if done in a very nicer, in a very good manner. That's the another side of it. Indian people are way hospitable to, in general, anyone if treated with nice and kind way and respect. I promise you that.
Oh, I know, I have experience with
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and that's the case. And with that, there are some good restaurants who are doing really well, and then, but again, it's a vicious circle. So to just sum it up in last one sentence, I'm not gonna go too much into serious discussion now. That's for another video.
Sure.
But I have a friend of mine who they run a restaurant, that's Yeti and the Monk. International people, if you happen to be in Pune anytime, please do visit this Southeast Asian restaurant called as Yeti and the Monk. Over there, this one owner's sister was sitting. She came in, she ordered food, and this was the time where this restaurant was slowly getting up, standing on its own leg, and they had their own loyal customer base. So a military personnel and his wife had come in. Okay.
Yeah.
And they were sitting over, and then this founder's, like one of the main operators' sister came in and sat on another table.
Sure. Yeah.
And then she ordered food. They also had ordered food, and she was like talking to, they were talking amongst themselves and something around those lines. They were so admirable about this Yeti and the Monk place that they saw, and they thought that she's a bit upset that it's taking some time. And then they went like, listen, the food might take some time, but it's really good, okay?
To the sister, and they
they didn't knew exactly that she was one of the main owner's sister. So someone from outside, they had made such a good base with their hospitality, with their service and everything, that such of an impression has come to someone like who is the inside person. That was a great way of like, okay, that tells you how good Indian hospitality's pinnacles can touch if done right, or fix more problems.
Yes. Yeah, I hear that.
So, and it's a fun thing to talk and like understand. And I really want, because I want a reverse people to come back and do their stuff in India, which is slowly, steadily happening. But at the same time, brain drain is still there because of such problems.
Yeah.
Now, considering you have traveled to Australia, where else have you traveled, and what is your food-related travel memory which has stayed with you?
That's a very interesting question. I've traveled around quite a bit. So as I said,
How many countries by then?
Ooh, I've never counted. Probably about. I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm like racking my brains. Let's call it about 10 to 15. So I feel like I'm pretty well traveled. I've been to quite a few places. I mean, for example, like
still not been to India though.
Still not been to India, no. But I definitely do want to go. I want to go. I feel like I also really would love to go with like a local and someone who knows like the area.
I recommend that to my European counterparts.
Just because I think from what I've heard, it's kind of like I know, for example, you've said like you compare Mumbai and London, and yes, they're similar kind of when you get to the center. But I think if I don't know an area and it's like very busy and lots happening, and I like the cultural things I don't know, and I want to I want to feel confident going into the country that I'm going, and know that a local who knows the area and kind of just can show, like, tour guide and kind of show around. But I also do love mountains, and so I wanted to see the mountains in India at some point. So that's like my bucket list. But so in terms of where I've been to Russia. That was quite interesting. That was like a school trip, actually. And
British passport people having school trips to Russia.
We had to have a visa, and it was I know there is lots of things with visas.
Exactly.
And now it feels from my experience, to have been pretty much able to go anywhere without a visa. And it was only Russia and the US and Australia which have needed a visa, and you can kind of go within Europe. I'm pretty sure within about the next, it could even be as early as this April 2026. Maybe it's a bit later, but I know that they're bringing in a new law where you need a visa to go to like European countries, and that's, as a British passport holder, it's an effective Brexit that's come in like quite a lot later, and I think it was kind of on purpose, like trying to be quite. I mean, Brexit happened in about 2017. And it's been so slow. It's like, if you're going to do it, leave the EU. Don't like, they've been so long and drawn out, and I think no one...
I am leaving.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I promise. I'm leaving. I said I was going to leave. I think it's called like a
toxic relationship with the EU.
Yeah. I swear it's called like a Midwestern goodbye in the US. It's like, okay, I'm going to go now. Okay, yeah, I'm really going to go now. 10 minutes later, they're still like, oh, so you know that other day? And it's like, it's very much that kind of like withdrawal. But anyway, so I feel very fortunate to have been able to just kind of dot around the world and travel. And yeah, I really liked Australia. I also have Danish heritage, and so I've been to Denmark, I've been to France, I've been to Spain, a little bit of Portugal, that kind of thing. But I would have to say, I have a Swedish friend, shout out Vendela. She
if you can see me, I would like to have you. I had the conversation with her, so yeah.
Yes. And so she introduced me to something called fika, which is spelled Fika. Yeah,
I'll put the photos over here.
Yeah, and it's basically the general concept, and I think there's actually even a cafe in Brighton called Fika at the moment, somewhere in the South Lanes, if any Brighton locals are here. And so with the fika, it's like kind of like a sweet kind of dessert, or like a pastry, for example, like a cinnamon bun, or like that sort of kind of like a nice pastry, and then you can have it with a coffee or a tea. But it doesn't have to be, but that's kind of the concept, and it's meant to be like a slow, enjoyed process. And she introduced me to, there's a special like Christmas fika, and it's like having it at a certain time, like you have it every Sunday leading up to Christmas, the Advent kind of period. And so it's just like a special time that you often spend with family and friends, and just enjoying like a small bit of food and a drink. I think obviously it doesn't have to be a hot drink, it doesn't have to be a pastry, but like that kind of concept of having a small bit to eat and drink with family and friends. And it was a really lovely thing, and I loved being part of that. And that's definitely a travel memory, I think, that stuck with me. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So another shock was for me was, you know what, Chinese people, I'm not so sure, okay, but I guess a lot of people from different nationalities, when they travel, they cook and eat.
Yeah.
It was a shock for me, like kind of like cultural shock for me, because when we go out, Indians I'm talking typically about, I don't know, there might be a section of us, or like part of us who might be going out who might be traveling and then cooking.
Yeah.
But typically we go out in the restaurants when we are traveling. So if I'm going to Brighton, or if I'm here with you, I'm not gonna typically I want to cook. I will order something now outside or go out. That's how the typical Indian behavior is.
Yeah.
But a lot of people of different nationalities, when they travel, they cook. Now again, this comes from where Indian food is, you know how complex to cook, it now.
It takes a long time.
Yeah, and where there are different nationalities and their different set of cuisines, it's easier to cook. So maybe they can save money and everything around those lines.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm not saying the question is wholly different though. It's like what I wanted to ask you is, when you cook, do you you said there are spices in the kitchen now.
Yes, there are spices.
So do you borrow flavors from abroad, and do you experiment and from like where you have traveled, as you said?
Oh, I like that. I think most of the countries I've been to, for example, if you look at like the US and Australia, don't really have like their own kind of individual kind of food scene. France, I feel like I was too young to like fully appreciate the cuisine, and kind of there isn't really much spice in France as far as I'm aware. And again, kind of in Europe, there isn't that kind of deep spice. I feel like if I went to, for example, like South America, or if I went to India, or if I went to China, or even like Thailand or something like that, I would kind of appreciate more of that true full spice, or even like sometimes for like African food, they could be like quite spicy as well. I've tried a bit, but like I think I really would like to say that I've incorporated flavors, but I think I'd have to say that I haven't traveled enough or at all really to those countries, and I haven't been like inspired to take back a flavor. But I think I've made my own like flavor palette, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I take you to first things, do you think you can understand a culture by food?
It's a really great question. I think you can get a flavor, if you pardon the pun, like of the culture through the food. And I think a lot of culture is food, or like influenced by food. For example, going out to eat, and cooking at home with family. And I mean, typically most people, on the whole, as far as I'm aware, have about 3 meals a day, maybe 2, maybe like a big meal. It depends where you have your food and different timings, whatever. But I think a lot of the day is based around food. And so when you go to a place, you're going to have kind of that experience of food. And I think when I was living with friends, I definitely really felt this kind of especially around different festivals like Gunpati, and all the making all these
claps in the comments. She knows Gunpati. Yeah. Carry on.
And the little offerings to Ganesh and that sort of thing. And it's so yummy.
Yeah.
And I really like the jaggery like mixed in with stuff, because there was
good job.
Yeah. When they mixed it in with it was mixed, that was like a side thing to reduce the spice of some of it. And they were like, you should have a bit more so I could like deal with the spice a bit. And so kind of seeing the amount of time and processing that goes in to make that food. And I think I really learned a lot about Indian culture through Indian food.
I was just please finish.
And whether that's the same in other cultures, I wouldn't necessarily say the same. Like, for example, if you go to like Australia, there isn't Australian cuisine in the same way. I won't learn about, well, maybe more like indigenous kind of like Australian foods, but I haven't experienced that, and I don't think that's very like well known about in Australia. It's not like, oh, there's this like classic meal that you have, apart from like people trying like rare meats like kangaroo or crocodile meat. And again, that's not necessarily even like, I think they did used to have a lot of kangaroo, but anyway.
Whoa, okay.
This
is a new thing for me.
Yeah, kangaroo meat is kind of almost the same as like chicken. And they have farms where they grow kangaroos. It's weird, or like not raise, I don't know what the right time is when you grow an animal to butcher it. But farming, I guess. Sometimes
it might be normal for them, but it would be unusual for us. Yeah, please.
Yes. And so I think it really does depend. Like I've never been to China, but I feel like, again, I think there's kind of that more when I say traditional food culture, but I think they've kind of kept the same kind of dishes going over time, passed them down through generations. Yes, in the UK, sure, you have like the full English breakfast or the shepherd's pie, but it's just not the same. And again, as you say, like they're quicker to prepare, and so I think that definitely does influence. Like I saw, your friends in the kitchen for like at least like 3 or 4 hours sometimes, and that's not even like a complicated meal. That's just like a normal, because also you're making it pretty much all from scratch. You don't really have like these processed foods, which I think is great. But then obviously it means that you're dedicating so much time to the cooking, and then sometimes other stuff.
And then there is London's fast economic life, or Mumbai's fast economic life.
And how do you can't necessarily pair the two together. Like how do you, you can't partner like that long working hours and that sort of stuff at the same time alongside cooking these long not even long and elaborate meals. They're just like, every meal I saw really took at least minimum of an hour or 2. And also she like often cooked chapati, and she'd make her own bread every time. And so she's like, oh yeah, I'm just making like and then she'd be there for like an hour or 2.
In those terms, she's like very disciplined and very dedicated. Not entirely. I am in those terms. I try to think in an efficient manner.
Yes, I understand that. But that was my experience, and I feel like I definitely learned a lot.
But that is the real authentic way of doing it. So that tells you how it can be. But I can definitely tell you this one thing, that you actually can know about Indian culture through Indian food and cricket. So Again, it's taken from England,
Hmm.
so it's a good thing. So yeah, I personally think in different countries it varies. In some countries
Hmm.
you can actually understand the culture by food, but I don't think so you can understand British culture by food. No,
No,
I
some
would.
countries,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
but I would go and interact with people, and then you will understand. And it might, and then you will say, do you know what I mean?
Did you get me?
So I would get it
Yeah,
from there.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
So, like you have seen, like this is a very different last segment which we are getting into.
Sure.
Letty has been in marketing and in hospitality, pretty much similar like me. Do you think, like you have seen both the fields, marketing and hospitality? How much of today's hospitality is marketing? It's a
Pretty much all of
very,
it.
very googly question. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
In what different aspects do you think?
I'd have to say, I think a lot of experience is upsold through marketing and hospitality. So, for example, it's like, ooh, try our new ... Like, try this new meal and make it new and novel and make it more luxurious. Like, try our finest. You know, for example, even like I know this isn't
Handpicked.
hospitality. Yeah, handpicked.
Britain's obsession with handpicked. It's like a whole different. I can
Yeah.
write a stand up on that. I'm not even kidding.
It has to be handpicked. The special like handpicked.
And I'm
from,
not even
yeah.
kidding. Menus over
Yeah.
here have this. No
Hmm.
disrespect, but when you say handpicked, there should be meaning to it.
Yeah. Like, what does that
You're
mean?
not. Yeah, exactly. You're not adding that
What's
for
the
the sake of
benefit?
adding it. Yeah, and then a lot of British, sorry, Italian menus in Mumbai when they open a handpicked tomatoes and stuff like that. Okay,
Okay, I
is it
understand you picked the
yeah,
tomatoes.
is it really? One thing, and second thing is like, yeah, I understood. For someone like me, where flavor and depth matters a lot, alongside now that I'm becoming aware about food, protein, meat, and everything.
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
Yeah.
Very Indian and Asian point of view. Okay, Britain's obsession with that is there.
It's true.
Because when you say
yeah.
that, oh, these are hand-picked tomatoes or cherries or something, then
Yeah.
they are like, okay,
Oh,
approved,
wow.
approved.
Oh, gourmet.
Yeah, approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where, yeah, please continue with the marketing and hospitality you were saying.
Sure, yeah.
It can be over exaggerated, you said.
Over exaggerated. I think it might sound a bit strange, but I think like creamy stuff or luxurious stuff is often kind of sexualized in a weird way.
Sexualized, okay.
Yeah, like well, I've seen this in psychological terms, in terms of making this like, ooh, have you tried our new indulgent, like new, and basically they're trying to make the food sound really like delicious, and it's kind of in that way. And I think they're trying to make it sound like really good, I guess, but the way they're doing it is a bit weird in my opinion. It's like, do I want to be eating that? But yeah, and I think obviously a lot of it's just over exaggerated, really, isn't it? And I mean, there's also only so much that is real. Obviously, every competitor, like say you have two direct Italian restaurants in London, and they're going to be like, oh, how can I prove that my food's better than your food? They might just be they might be very high standard, but they might be the very same high standard. And it's like, oh, how can I win against my competitor? And it's like, oh no, ours is like the famous Parmigiano from this like region of Italy, and like Parmigiano di Reggiano. I mean, technically, all meant to be from that place of Italy, but it's not. It says like, we use the finest cheese. They might both use the same finest cheese, but if I say it, you're going to say, oh, that's the one. I want that Indian restaurant, Sorry, Italian restaurant. So yeah, I think it's definitely a lot of upselling the experience.
Yeah. My next question, you covered it anyway. Does
Sure.
marketing oversell or experience or magic or anything? Here's an interesting one actually. Tell me about the British consumer behavior in terms of choosing a place or eating or dining. I know you don't go out very often.
Yeah.
You might have observed people around you. Indian consumer experience, I can tell you so that you can understand, is like Indians are very price sensitive, very, very price sensitive. I tell you, Matchbox is costing you 1 rupees the moment you do it 0.8. How you guys have cents or pence.
Yes.
Similarly, we have paisa. Okay,
so that's like the P.
So yeah, PP. So 1 rupee the moment you do it 80 paisa.
It's like, I'm there.
The demand is gonna shut up like anything. That interesting and price sensitive Indian market is we are sad part is like I won't say it's happened. It's not like they intended, but food
Mm.
aggregators in India is like they treated and like habituated people with discounts and stuff.
Mm.
So now you are like, oh, where can I get a discount, or where can I get
Yeah.
this code and stuff. So
Yeah.
that makes it's not entirely the fault. Indian economy right now is very highly in income unequal,
Mm.
though even though we surpassed UK in terms of nominal GDP, we still suck largely at per
Mm.
GDP, per capita GDP.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, this price sensitivity comes in, and their economic behavior is influenced. And with economic behavior being influenced to such an extent where a normal working class person cannot go and afford to go to a fine dining, where one dish may cost him his entire monthly salary,
Oh my god.
over here
Yeah.
it's like I can, just because I want to have an experience with a tiny part of my salary, I can actually have a good find and experience.
It could be handpicked.
Yeah. So how this is in terms of, there are a lot of depth and aspects to it in terms of Indian experiences as well. The elite class in India is very much well aware, just like how Western people over are, and they know what's avocado, why they should go for it, how what healthy rice looks like, how oil amount should be managed, and how too much of spicy food is not so good for your gut health as well. Everywhere around those lines.
Yeah.
So I keep a very balanced view. It's not like I am crazy like, no, Indian food is the best, bro. No, it's not. In some aspects it's literally not. In terms of oily thing, it's in terms of cholesterol, in terms of being healthy, it's sometimes can be harmful if not done in the right way.
Yeah.
And that's where I praise British food a lot in those terms, because a Sunday roast in terms of meat, I know it can be funny, but in terms of meat, veggies, and Yorkshire pudding and the gravy, you have great healthy
balance.
ingredients on your plate.
Yeah.
Not that Indian cuisine is not healthy. We have a concept called as thalis.
Ooh, is that like the like, wait, explain.
So thali is like a full plate which has different curries, vegetables, rice, and protein and everything in it.
So similar kind of.
Yeah, exactly. But again, you saw how makes it. It takes a lot of time, and it's not feasible every time to do it in this modern economic life.
Sure.
But still, it's feasible to do a Sunday roast in today's economic life.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long.
That's where like the ups and downs of Indian cuisine comes in, and that's where how Indian consumer behavior when they go out and dine out are very different. It can be so funny. What's the British side of it? How is the British consumer style of in hospitality or when it comes to dine out?
In terms of the like, for example, you're saying like Indians are very price sensitive. Do you mean that sort of thing?
Anything you want to add, like any aspect you want to put it on table, like something very unique, insightful thing.
I think for me, this is just a personal thing. I'm definitely price sensitive, and I will try and get the best deal at any place. And that's actually a reason I don't really go out for dinner that much. But I definitely would say, I think it does. Some people go for the food for the quality. Some people go because maybe this is like, as I was kind of saying with the Italian restaurant, like maybe I go to this Italian restaurant because I know it has the best like parmesan. I know it has the best. But I think it really, really depends, depending on where you're from, like your upbringing and like what you might like, what you might enjoy, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so I think it's quite personal in that way, but also,
But still, this is also the economic behaviors are any day gonna influence considering how much you earn and what you wanna go.
Yeah, true.
No doubt about it. But even if you say you're price sensitive, and if you say if we decide that okay, we wanna go to this great restaurant which I have heard has excellent afternoon tea, but if it's an expensive side of it, let's go and spend £60, have that experience.
£60 for tea. Sorry.
Example.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Let's go and have an experience. You would still go for it. That's there. I mean,
maybe not for tea.
I mean, afternoon tea. Afternoon tea. Yeah. Afternoon tea is a very interesting concept. I'll come to that.
Isn't it like scones and
that? But
even that.
It depends on again. It's like where you go. Now, my observation in terms of British thing is that some people go for experience. Some people go to like some British people don't have depth in their flavor. So my opinion again. So that's why it doesn't too much matter to them. If you have enough of spending power over today, you can choose any they can choose any restaurant to go to, because the more or less the menus are same. They can choose to go to any types of international cuisines they want to. But if they have enough of spending power, they are going to spend it on experience.
Yeah, I would say so.
In India, because there is a huge class which is like earning a decent amount of money, they are gonna go for money for value. Money for value, as in like if I'm going, it's my typical behavior. All right, it doesn't matter how much I'm gonna earn in the future or even now. If I'm paying you £10, I want the biryani, right?
Yeah,
I want the biryani, right? I don't care. So if you're putting some sort of another different kind of, I don't care. I'm coming to have good food, satisfy my soul to you, and I stick to Indian cuisine. That this is another interesting behavior. If you go, what I have observed, a lot of typical general behavior is that Indians, when they go out, they do not try, or like they do not like diverge from. Yeah, they may if you are having it. For example, if we decide to dine out, you may order whatever you want. I'm gonna stick to Indian cuisine. I would try what you're doing, but I won't specifically go like, can I have the penne pasta? No, I'm not gonna go that.
No, not for me.
Yeah, because that's how like it's sticking to it, and that's why you see tons of Indian restaurants making good business around. And because I still, when I order something, when I can't cook food or something, I am checking like, okay, have I got biryani, have I got masala dosa, have I got anything Indian first? And then if I think I'm bored, or if I don't have any option, or if there is a shitty place which gives shitty food, then I'm gonna shift to pizza, burger, or like whatever option feasible I have with
Okay, fine, yeah.
my behavior.
Yeah.
Again, it can be resonated with a lot of Indian people. So that's there. And sorry, what were you I was talking about? So the British side of it is what I have observed working in hospitality now quite for a long time. That's where I think that's what they can do. Again, now the latest, like considering the last 20-30 years, the amount of explosion happening in terms of the food scene and culture in different cities of UK, British palate is expanding. British palate is like getting more flavorful. I'm talking from the age specifically from 12 to 40. 45 is where they still can't tolerate enough of spice.
So you have to have that spice exposure during the earlier years to
Yeah,
be able
yeah,
to tolerate it later.
of course, yeah. Because and that's so.
Yeah, but then men have a different behavior to go in depth. Men have a different behavior. They can tolerate spice even if they're in their 45s and 46. They are stronger enough. They can mentally do it. Women still don't tend to go it.
But that's interesting because, women have a stronger pain tolerance, and pain and like physical heat and pain actually activate the same receptors on the tongue. So I know when it feels really spicy and it's like very hot. So it's interesting that if women have a better pain tolerance overall, and there's been studies to prove this, it's interesting that men can handle spice better at that age.
I mean, I would say that. Then I just, in all of my experience, I just found one girl who was able to have as much as spice I can. And this is what I'm talking about, like a real Indian spice level, very easily. Only one girl, one European girl. Apart from that, no one was able to do it. Because men were like, yeah, let's have it. Like, sure.
Okay, so that's based more on experience than studies. I'm kind of taking the like psychological, scientific perspective.
But not that you are wrong. Yeah, your insight as it comes from a whole different experiential area. My comes from a different, but that's the
Yeah.
last one thing. We have worked in hospitality. What do you think? Hospitality working people have high EQ?
I think yes, because there are some people who, a lot of people I feel like have studied a degree, for example, and they're just working there short term. For example, yourself included, I'm pretty sure you have at least a bachelor's, if not more, I can't remember. But and so it's like there's so many people, and like for example, my stepbrother included, it's like they have a degree. You're just basically doing hospitality in the short term to ensure that you still have an income so that you can get by, you can live, and that you're okay. So I think it's important to be able to, just make enough money, and that's not related to IQ. You know, like a lot of people are working in hospitality, cafes, restaurants to earn money rather than long-term career goals. From my experience and opinion, sure there might be people who end up working in hospitality like longer term, but I don't think it's to do with IQ. I think it's like there will always be people who like different types of jobs, different types of experiences, different types of work. Like some people don't want an office 9 to 5. Some people want to be more active, more on their feet. Some people might really enjoy that kind of the hospitality side. And I don't think like I hear where your kind of question is coming from, and I know you're asking it controversially, but I don't.
I'm not asking again for
I know.
like
Oh, okay, okay. So I think no, I think just because you work in hospitality doesn't necessarily mean you have low IQ. I think there's a whole wide range of IQ in any type of job, really. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Right. So my mic just went off.
Okay,
I
okay.
just keep it.
So, yeah.
Thank you. So that's there. It was, I hope, a very different and unique conversation for you guys. That was the end of it, considering everything. That you did a great job. Thank you so much for all the efforts for the last 3 months. Going back and forth, deciding the dates, coming from Manchester to London to record and everything. Good place. I loved this place. I wish I could keep this place for recording all the further episodes. That's there. It was a fun conversation. Nice to have a chat with a flow, nice rhythm. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any insight, anything to share, any add-ons, any controversial opinions to counter her or mine, please feel free to put it in the comments. If you have anything more interesting to share about all of the cultures or any pointers we discussed, if you want to defend British cuisine, feel free to do so. And I have been critical of British cuisine. At the same time, I have also exposed a lot of Indian side of it as well at the same time. I hope that was interesting for you. And yeah, that's it. Anything to add? Thank you. Sure. Thank you very much for listening to this. That was in today's menu. You were streaming and listening to Lettie Miller and Siddhiraj Kulkarni. And I hope to see you soon in the next episode, bringing you more flavorful, insightful conversations around a lot of things, but in food, culture, and hospitality. Thank you very much for listening and hope you have a good time ahead.